Alright, what's good, y'all? So today I'm gonna do a trading recap of the trade that I took on NQ. But before I even get started with that, I'm gonna just show you guys the weekly performance that I have so far. So you could see within the week, Monday we took a loss, Tuesday we took a break even, Wednesday we took a break even. Bro, we had two break evens this week. You know how annoying that shit is? And this week we managed to make only what, $127. That is like pennies, bro. That is really pennies. Uh, yeah, but Friday, I don't think we're gonna take a trade because we have FOMC minutes. So yeah, this week is kind of interesting, but honestly, I'm not too worried because I mean, this is really the start of the month, or like the first trading week of the month. Because last week we only took one trade, we took a loss, and that didn't really count. But so far, within the monthly P&L, we are up $47. That is, bro. We need to just get a job at that point, bro. Like, fuck trading, bro. Just get a job at that point. All right, yep. Let's get started. So, NQ. First things first. All right. When we are looking for our bias, what do we go on? We go on the hourly. I don't go on the 4 hour. You can go on the 4 hour. Whatever works with you, just let it work. Make it work. And if it works, it works. Don't, change it up. All right. So the hourly, you can see we swept liquidity here, and then we just show a lot of bearish reaction. And yeah. So I drew. You can see in the blue GAN boxes, or the blue um, rectangles. These are the bearish, or were the bullish fair value gaps that later on turned into inverses. But yeah, we had plenty of bullish fair value gaps that ended up being invalidated, and from that, I'm just looking at how price is reacting, and in my opinion, I felt like price wanted to reach some lower lows, or some lows at least, right? So our first target was right over here. Hold on, let me fix my mic. Alright, there. I think it's better now. Anyways, so our first target for the low was here because once we swept this high, we're most likely wanting to target something, that's down below here, which is this low, or a fair value gap in our case if we didn't have one. So that was our bias already, which was bearish. We scale down to the 15-minute, see what we got here. Now market opened here, but prior, during pre-market, you could see we created a whole bunch of bearish fair value gaps that later on got validated here. On top of that, we inversed this bullish fair value gap. Yeah, you guys are gonna hear me saying a lot of fair value gaps, but that's pretty much my strategy. I base my trades off fair value gaps and just see how it reacts. But overall, just looking at how price is reacting, you can see we're in like a downtrend. Like, this is like the most obvious downtrend, and we're targeting this low here. All right. Now, if I go back here, all right. Now, for me, I like to use fair value gaps because they're pretty much confirmations. Now, pre-market, we showed that we wanted to go lower and we wanted to target this low. Now, when market opened, um, we're still looking at the 15-minute. Still, again, we just went all the way down, came to this 15-minute fair value gap, and from there we were kind of rejecting because we didn't necessarily close just yet, but we were just ranging around here. And then later on at the 6:45 we closed here. But at this time, I'm just looking at the 15-minute just for like the bias mainly. I'm not looking for an entry on the 15-minute, just to let you guys know, because bro, I mean, what can you see here which is like something you can enter off? Nobody enters off something just purely off the 15-minute, I mean, you can, and you could scale down lower, but like what we see our reaction here, and we already hit our target, which is this low on the 15-minute, and from there, we honestly want to scale down to the 5 minute or the 1 minute to see whether we want to push lower or we want to push back upwards. All right, now we scale down to the 5 minute. Now, like I said, we validated this. This was pre-market, and this was just showing that we wanted to go tap into this low, right? Correct? Correct. Okay, so later on, when we close during the market open, we have this huge bearish candle, and at this candle we make a inverse fair value gap, and then we also make a bullish fair value gap. Now, on top of that, we tapped into the low. Damn, I'm actually kind of repetitive. But anyways, yeah, we tapped into the low, and then from there we're waiting to see whether we, like I said, we want to go upwards or downwards. Now we tap into the inverse fair value gap on the 5 minute, and then we end up closing right over here. And then from that, I'm like, okay, if we get a reaction off a 1 minute fair value gap or something like that, I'm gonna take it. So we then scale down to the 1 minute. And to me, this was pretty obvious. Wait, let me just go back to the 5 minute. All right, this is plain and simple. All right, like when you see price, it just reacts off purely off like fair value gaps or something, right? So you can see like we literally close down, we tap into this 5 minute here, and then we go back up. Now, obviously, if we closed above here, let's just say price closed above this fair value gap, we are probably gonna switch our bias to bullish. But since we reacted off this inverse fair value gap here, and then we closed below it, that means we're most likely wanting to target another low here, which was like this low. Alright, now that's plain and simple. Scale down to the 1 minute. Like I said, we're looking for a 1 minute fair value gap, which we get right over here. So this was the inverse 5 minute fair value gap, and then from here we tap down, create a 1 minute bearish fair value gap, and then we come back up, we validate it, and then for the next candle we just close above it. So that means this was now a inverse fair value gap, or like a bullish fair value gap, I guess. So then from there I was kind of like, oh shit, we might, end up taking a loss. But then, I'm okay with my bias. My bias was pretty like, I was still pretty bearish, and I didn't really worry as much. As long as we still had this fair value gap right over here, then I would have been okay. Now on the second hand, if we did close above this, I would be a little bit worried, but overall, I wasn't that afraid. And we had our stops at this 5 minute fair value gap. Honestly, we could have had it here too, because this was the inverse fair value gap, but I like to just keep it a little safer and have it there. All right. Now, since we closed above it, the next candle, which was kind of weird, we ended up invalidating the bullish fair value gap, or the inverse. So from there, this didn't even count as like anything. So we were really basing the trade off this bearish fair value gap, and then from there we just continue downwards, and then we tap into TP1. So that was pretty much the trade. Now for some reason, like this doesn't display that we tapped it, but on top side X we ended up going I think below it. Let me see if we tapped into it with this. Yeah, I don't even know if this is the right. Anyways, yeah, let's just wait. This is yes. I just realized what the fuck. Anyways, yeah. So we ended up hitting TV1, and yeah, that was pretty much a trade. I mean, bro, I don't even think I was looking at the right thing. Anyways, yeah. So TP1 hit, and then from there we just continued upwards after that, and I was just off. I was done for the day. What we could have done better, because like I don't know if I told you guys already, I did mess up with my TP. I could have made like $330, but instead I ended up making like 220, which is actually quite big, because I could have made $100 more. since I am risking a low amount, like any money that I could have made, it it really makes like a big impact. But in this case, I guess anything above $200 is okay because I just need one more payment of $200 in profit until I can get a pay until I get sorry until I can get a payout. But yep, this was pretty much a trade. Um, Friday we got coming up next, and yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Friday entails, but overall, this was an okay trading day.